Robbie loves playing fetch with her dog. Spencer. Spencer starts by sitting beside Robbie. After Robbie throws the ball, Spencer runs to get the ball, and he brings it back. Robbie throws the ball 3 times. On the first throw, Robbie throws the ball 8 meters. On the second throw, Robbie throws the ball twice as far. On the third throw, Robbie throws the ball 5 meters less than the second throw. How far does Spencer the dog run in total? I racked my brain for the answer. I tried, but I couldn't make sense of all the numbers that jumbled up in there. All the host's words faded into each other, and all I could hear in my head were echoes of every third word. It was as if I was underwater in a vivid dream. The game show music that constantly played in the background didn't help either. It just kept ramping up, telling me that I was running out of time. If you get this right, Axel, you are through to the next round. If you, however, get it wrong, then Primrose from Heather Hills High will win by default, and she will move on to the next round. You have 10 seconds. I don't need you to remind me that. I can clearly see my family in the front row gritting their teeth. My mom was ready to tear her hair out. I knew stuff like this was easy peasy for them. They're all geniuses with IQ scores of over 150. Each and every one of them. I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted to show them I can be smart too. But I was already doing horribly. And it came down to this one final question. I hadn't even qualified for the semifinals yet. And I was already down to my last straw. I took a deep breath. I pictured the numbers in my head like Dad taught me. 8, 16, 5. Doubled the lengths for when Spencer went to the ball and came back to the boy. The time kept ticking, and just before the buzzer sounded, I blurted out my answer. 60! Spencer ran a total of 60 meters! My family let out loud groans of disappointment. My mom stood up and in a huff walked out of the auditorium. Incorrect! The answer is 70 meters! I'm so sorry, Axel, but that means your run in this competition is now over. I looked around. It was really embarrassing to be up on that stage with 3 spotlights shining on my face. The loser. The first one out. I almost cried. Add to that, my family all walked out on me. I guess they didn't want to be seen in public with the one son who didn't inherit the family trait of being a math whiz of some type. Hi there, I'm Axel, and this is about my family. A family of world-renowned geniuses that I never fit into. Think you have a unique title for a story? Comment it down below and like the ones you think are interesting. You never know, your story may be the next one we post. Alright, now back to the story. Mom found her success in the world of big pharma. She came up with their formulation of a drug that I can't mention for security reasons, of course. But let's just say she helped millions of lives and made billions for the company she worked for. She was even in the running for a Nobel at one point. My dad's the most prominent scientist in the family. He's a physicist who works for NASA, and occasionally, CERN flies him out to Switzerland to work on several projects using the Large Hadron Collider. My older brother Scott is a well-known inventor. He's solved a lot of everyday problems with his super cool inventions. I bet you've used at least one of his inventions in your lifetime. And my sister? Well, my sister is a legend in the tech space. Remember BlackBerry? Yeah. It's dead now, but she was the one responsible for BlackBerry's insanely popular reputation back then. Now she works for Apple. And if you have an iPhone, you're using some of my sister's innovations. I, however, am the black sheep of the family. I have no notable skills to speak of. My IQ is pretty average, and I'm worse than even my most distant cousins at school. My dad even tried to see if I'm a different kind of genius. As early as I turned 6, he enrolled me in different classes. We tried sports, dancing, singing, the fine arts. Nothing. I was neither a musical prodigy nor an artist. Till now, the only thing I can draw is stick figures and smileys. That night, after coming home depressed and ashamed after my horrible performance in that math competition, I found a bunch of bags outside our house. I turned the doorknob, but it was locked, and then my mom's face appeared in the window. "You're not welcome in this house anymore." What? What? Why? "You're an embarrassment to this family. You always have been. Yeah, every time I post on my Twitter, some douche nozzle always mentions how you give the family a bad name. It's embarrassing knowing that you're even related to us. And you know what? You're better off on your own. That way you don't bring any of us any trouble." Your brother's right. Better to cut ties now rather than later. We can't be associated with the low-achieving disappointment. I tried, you know? I tried really hard to teach you. But you're hopeless. There's $20 in your bag. Don't spend it all in one place. Now go. We're having dinner. Let's just go. I don't even understand why you'd give him a single cent. The embarrassment he brought us tonight. He's not worth a penny. My life was over. I was 16 and homeless, with no family willing to take me in. Who does that? Just throw their own son away just because he doesn't have any smarts? Just because I was different? I walked to the nearest park and stared into my bag. Clothes. And I felt the snap of the deepening winter against my face. I dug into my bag and put on every article of clothing in there. 3 shirts, 4 jackets, 3 pairs of pants, and 4 socks. That was all I had in the world. And apparently a bunch of crumpled papers that were left in there. I went through them, realizing they were my attempts at creating groundbreaking art my family would be proud of. They were garbage, of course, seeing as I'm worse at sketching than I was at math. But then, I flipped the pages over and realized that what I used to practice my sketching were printed transcripts and invention patents. On every corner of each page was a link to a private online folder. I took out my phone and typed the links out, and what I found blew my mind. In every link, a plethora of evidence against my family was just lying there, unencrypted. It turned out every single breakthrough my family was proud of was stolen, taken from other poor inventors that they either paid off or blackmailed and extorted. They kept them silent, and the evidence was all there. Signed contracts, NDAs, voice clips, even video evidence of them threatening the scientists and inventors that they stole from. I finally knew what I had to do. The very next morning, I was outside the nearest print shop before it even opened. I rushed in there and spent what I could with the measly $20 I had to my name. I printed as much as I could, and then I went to the cops. But they just laughed me off. "So, you're telling me that you're a member of that family?" Ah! Chief, you gotta get a load of this. This homeless kid's saying there's this massive conspiracy about that genius's family. Remember those guys? The ones who were in the news recently? I neither care nor have the time for any false reports today. Just get rid of that kid. It's too early in the morning and my coffee's already ruined. Kid stinks. They pushed me out the doors and I didn't know what else to do. I'd spent all the money I had, and it all came to nothing. I was a teenager. I had no idea where to go. It was cold and snow was beginning to fall, so I did what my body told me to do. I fell asleep on the street. I must have died then because when I woke up, it was warm. The room was bright and there was a beautiful woman staring down at me, holding my hand. Are you an angel? The woman blushed, and then I looked around. I was in a hospital. That's very flattering, but I'm glad you're awake. The doctor will be right in for you. Just then, a lady in a doctor's coat entered my room. She flipped through some pages in her clipboard and smiled at me. Good to see you're back with us. Do you remember what happened? Snow? I remember snow. You fell asleep in the streets. If the cops hadn't brought you in, you could have died with hypothermia. Hypothermia is a medical emergency that occurs when the body loses heat faster than it can produce heat, causing a dangerously low body temperature. Normal body temperature is around 98.6 Fahrenheit. Hypothermia occurs as the body temperature falls below 95 Fahrenheit. I just blurted it out, not even knowing that I was doing it. The doctor was shocked. I was too. She asked me who I was and where my family was. I told her what happened and she said she was going to call the authorities. I told her it was not necessary, and that whatever will happen to them, I want to be there to do it. The doc let me stay there till I was recovered, and every day she would quiz me on some random subject, and I would know the answer. I was especially good at medical topics. I still don't understand or know how it happened, but somehow I woke up from that coma with a different brain. They tested my IQ and I came up with a score of 188, even higher than my family. My story got told on the news and suddenly, lots of people wanted to know who I was. It wasn't a surprise that my family went to those talk shows. Now that I was the famous whiz boy, they wanted to be associated with me again. And when I was on one of those live TV shows, I decided it was time for my revenge. Nobody knew what I had planned, not even the host. I simply told this story to the producer and he made sure every video, every email, every photo was played on the screen. And when the host asked me how proud I was to be part of such an influential family, I smiled. That was how my family fell. That one interview sparked an investigation, and they were all stripped of their licenses. I went on to become a successful scientist. I went into the medical field, and just recently, I got a breakthrough for curing sickle cell. Now, my name's in lights, and my family are all wearing orange jumpsuits.